Hello, you are tuned in to AWANI Review with me, Cynthia Ng. Today's topic is all about the job market, focusing on how AI is shaping up the future workforce. Joining us today is Wright, General Manager of Marketplace and AI at Seek. Seek is the company behind JobStreet Malaysia. First of all, thank you, Grant. I know you have a packed schedule in Kuala Lumpur, so big thanks to you for making time to chat with me.
Thank you. Great to be here and great to be in KL.
Right, great to have you on the show. Now, I do want to start with the latest announcement by your company where all your marketplaces, JobStreet, JobsDB, and Seek, are now under one unified platform. Can we start with that? Can you talk to us about the decision to do this, the significance, and what's the impact to job seekers and employers in Malaysia?
Yeah, this is a really important milestone for us. It was a big decision. So Seek's grown in Asia through acquisition of JobStreet and JobsDB over many years. But up until now, we've had three separate platforms. We made the decision 3 years ago to invest a lot of money and time in bringing that all onto one state-of-the-art platform so we could get all of the benefits of our AI and my team's AI capability and roll out features and innovate at once right across Asia Pacific. Okay. So that change means that all of our innovation can go to all markets at once. There's some out-of-the-box features that we can deliver that we've had in Australia for a while that we get into Asia straight away. And the innovation that we're continually doing can go into all our markets at once.
Let's talk about that a bit more. As a job seeker or an employee in Malaysia, now when I log onto a JobStreet website, what difference would I see, or what new features that you've just mentioned can they expect?
So you will have seen for a little while now the familiar JobStreet name starting to say by Seek. So we're starting to show that we have a powerful global tech company behind JobStreet. Some of the features will be behind the scenes. We will just see better, more relevant, personalised matching powered by our AI. So it won't necessarily look and feel different, but it should just be much more relevant and delivering more quality applications. And there are new features. So hirers can get recommended candidates now when they post a job ad. Our AI models can match qualified candidates, whether they're on the site looking or not, that you can reach out to. There's company profiles. There's new top applicant badge, which is when our AI algorithm matches your resume to the job behind the scenes. And so if you're thinking, this is my dream job, but I'm just not sure if I'm qualified or could get the job. Right. If the model says, well, actually you are qualified, it gives you that confidence to apply. And we actually see people applying more in those situations.
So it goes beyond just giving the traditional job description or skill set. Is it going to be more nuanced, more comprehensive about what a candidate can bring to the table?
Yeah, our vision is all about understanding the granular skills and requirements that make up what it requires to do a job and what a candidate can do, rather than just what is the role that they've been in or where did they go to school and what education do they have. So trying to get much more granular into the skills and requirements and preferences that people are looking for so we can create better matches than ever before.
Okay, so that's quite interesting because usually for large online platforms like JobStreet, JobsDB, I think the challenge has always been, you have a large pool of talent, but finding the right skill set, the right candidate can be much harder because it's less personalized. So I do want to get your take on how AI could help actually change that a bit.
Yeah, and it's really hard in jobs because you would know it's hard to define what you're looking for in a role. It's actually quite hard to articulate that, and it's hard to write a job ad. And so AI can help with guiding you through the wisdom of the crowd and understanding what other people have said as well to really articulate what you're looking for better. And we also know that candidates really don't want to miss out on opportunities. So that dream job may be out there. You want to see all of the relevant jobs, but you don't want to waste your time on the less relevant jobs. And so it's a really hard problem to solve, and that's the challenge my team loves diving into, is how do we show you all the relevant jobs and not have you miss out on anything that could be good for you, including some things you may not have thought about or may think may not be relevant until you get under the hood, but not show you any irrelevant jobs. That's actually a really tough challenge, and that's what we're always innovating towards solving.
Okay. Talk a bit more about this new platform. So with the integration, JobStreet, JobsDB, and Seek, which is predominantly in Australia and New Zealand, does this mean that the talent in Malaysia have wider access to job opportunities out in those places, and does employers then also get access to Malaysian talents?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're seeing interesting demand, particularly with things like remote working and the ability to work from anywhere for both hirers and candidates looking cross-border. And so with our position in Asia Pacific, the one platform allows you to change the location on the one site and search for jobs in any of our locations, and also allow you to post jobs in other countries cross borders in one seamless flow. So that's what we've been hearing and seeing demand for, and now with the unified platform we can deliver on that.
Okay. Can you talk to us then a bit more like success cases that you have seen from using AI? I know we talk so much about AI, but in the simpler term, like what does it mean as someone that is looking at AI, and how do you measure your success?
Yeah, so we run a lot of experiments, so we're constantly running tens and tens of experiments at any one time on the platform. We have a team of statisticians running experiments to prove whether the improvements we're making behind the scenes actually make a difference. And what we found with that as we launched our AI search and recommendations platform is over the last 2 or 3 years, we've seen a 20 to 30% increase in applications just by solving that problem you mentioned, which is showing more relevant jobs to candidates so they're not missing out. That means, and guiding them with, this is a good job for you, so we're increasing the quantity and quality of applications, which ultimately leads to more placements. And we're also on the hirer side seeing some of the tools we're providing to our hirers to match on skills and identify great candidates more easily, is shortening the time it requires to get to those good candidates. So they're becoming more efficient in their process of shortlisting.
Well, having more applications, great, but I do also wonder now with how people are using generative AI, for instance, to write their cover letters, their resumes, their CVs. And do you find that this would, do you have concerns about their reliability and trustworthiness? Do employers have that concern when they go on a platform like Seek?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for the question. It's a great question. Obviously, with generative AI content, it's a really powerful tool to help you articulate what you're looking for. But some of the old tools we used, when I used to recruit in a previous job, the cover letter was a really strong signal of someone's ability to write well, their interest in the job. Nowadays, with generative AI, that's not so much of a signal of the candidate anymore. And it's becoming difficult to determine what is true and what is not. And so I think trust is really important. It's always been a big problem for marketplaces. So billions of dollars is spent every year trying to verify credentials and make sure that what claims on both sides of the market are true. With generative AI, that only accelerates. One of the things we're really excited about with the new platform is we've had a product in Australia and New Zealand for a little while now that allows people to verify credentials and share that securely online through the job application process. So that helps hirers in terms of that enormous cost and trust, and allows candidates to stand out with trust for the credentials that they do have. And so we'll be launching that into Asia through 24, which we think can help. But I think, yes, trust and what signals you've relied on in the past and can you rely on them in the future is a big question for employment.
I think also another concern that people have is bias in hiring, because when we talk about AI, AI system is basically trained by the data that you put in. So it can lead to discriminatory outcomes if the data input is biased in the first place. So how do you think that a marketplace platform like Seek can address potential bias in job hiring?
Yeah, it's a really important question. I think like any technology, it can bring a lot of benefits, but there are also risks, and you can't ignore those risks, and you've got to manage them. And we know that, unfortunately, both unconscious and conscious bias exists in human hiring processes. And so the risk is that the AI models learn that bad behavior and cement it. The first thing is I think you need to make sure that your data is representative of the whole population. And so that's where our scale across all industries and regions really helps, but that's not enough. So we have a responsible AI team that has a framework and an assessment tool where we assess every AI algorithm against that framework and test for bias. For every AI service, we have over 50 AI services in production. All of those get run through that framework, and we're constantly iterating on that. But equally, I think there's opportunities to not only make sure you're not doing any more harm, but help reduce that risk of bias. And so we have products like hide names and talent search, which means you can look at people purely on their skills and attributes and not be susceptible to unconscious bias because of someone's name, which we know can reflect either gender or racial background, which can lead into unconscious bias. So there are definitely risks that need to be mitigated, and we feel we'll never be done on that journey, but we feel good about where we are on that. There's also huge opportunity to help reduce that bias using AI and other tools.
SEEK operates in many countries, Asia Pacific, and some countries in the Americas region. When you talk about bias, sometimes it's a lot of cultural differences and also nuances that we need to consider when it comes to hiring. So as running a platform like that, how do you mitigate all these problems?
Yeah, it's a really tough question. I think what we don't think is that we should be the ethical decision maker for what is right and wrong, and operating across different markets with different cultural backgrounds makes that challenging. What we do see is generally it's pretty clear in other law, like anti-discrimination law, what is right or what is wrong in a particular culture. And then if there are things that are different across countries, we'll try and hold ourselves to the highest standard across all our markets. And so that makes our job a little bit harder, but we accept that risk. And so we're trying to adapt our AI to the laws and regulations rather than try and change the laws and regulations to fit our AI, if you like.
Okay, that's all very fascinating. Thanks for talking to me about the AI part of your business. I do also want to talk a little on the market outlook. Unemployment rates have lowered. However, there are still a lot of shakiness in the job market, especially with the tech layoffs that we have been seeing in the past year and even this year. What's the word on the ground, or what's the situation on the ground? Is it on your platform? What kind of data are you seeing when it comes to the job market?
Yeah, interesting. Across all industries, we're seeing really low. So labour markets have remained tight, and in Malaysia, obviously, really low unemployment. We're actually seeing applications per candidate increasing. So it's not like there's more candidates. Lots of people are in work and have jobs, but they're applying to more jobs and potentially being a little bit more picky with what they take on.
What does that tell you?
What we're seeing in our research as well is that company culture, what it's like to work, flexible working is becoming bigger requirements for these people. Obviously then in tech, where we've seen some layoffs, really unfortunately in some specific markets, that's causing a shift as well. We haven't quite seen that fully play out yet. And for example, we're still hiring and finding great talent in countries like KL and Singapore. But there have been layoffs, and we have seen the likes of Facebook and other tech people pulling out of some of those markets and people shifting to London or back to the US as part of that as well.
Okay, so now going back to AI a bit more, AI has so much potential, but there's also concern that with automation, AI, machine learning, this could lead to job losses. I wonder what's your take on that?
Yeah, it's very early to tell. So what we've seen over decades is technology automating parts of jobs. So jobs are a bundle of tasks, and what you tend to see is some of those tasks get automated, other tasks remain, and so jobs change. Some jobs do go away, and we've seen some of that to date with AI. Other things increase in demand or change, and so I think the important thing for candidates to be thinking about is in this period of uncertainty, what skills do I have? How can I think about my career path and prepare for any potential change? But I would say, if you look at an example, say, drone delivery, so automating last mile delivery with drones instead of delivery drivers, that obviously will decrease the demand for local delivery drivers. It'll increase the demand for drone programmers and that technical aspect, so there's growth in a new industry. It changes other roles, so manufacturing, packaging and warehousing needs to adapt to have smaller packages that can be carried by drones, so that creates new demand, and it can also just increase demand overall for products. So the ability to deliver more regularly in rural areas can mean more people are buying that particular thing and give overall growth. So it's a complicated story, and that's why I say people need to be prepared for change, not too worried, but willing to adapt, and that's why we're investing in products that can help people understand career paths with AI, get bite-sized learning content through SEEK Max to sort of update their careers and keep relevant.
So what would your advice be for someone, let's say a young job seeker, just out of university looking at jobs? Because it does look to me that the jobs that will be in danger are white-collar jobs, actually, the accountants, the researchers, because jobs like healthcare, those are the jobs that you still need someone to do it, and you can't be replaced by AI. So for someone who is like graduating, and what advice do you have for them with such uncertainty in the job market?
Well, I'd say get onto JobStreet and check out our career paths, obviously, because that can help you map out the options available to you. But then I would say be adaptive. Start learning about AI, because AI is here, it's not going away. And so the sooner you start using AI in your daily life, using tools to help you, and then be adaptive. Just typical career advice I would give people: get in there with something you're passionate about, and then learn, keep your eyes open, explore opportunities, and be willing to adapt, because I think one of the key things for career growth now is going to be your ability to change and keep learning. What we do see is that particularly in Southeast Asia, we have a really motivated young workforce who are asking questions like, where can I take my career? Where are my skills gaps? How can I fill them? So I think we're in good shape, but we're going to have to keep being adaptive.
Okay, let's unpack that a bit more. As someone that looks into AI on a daily basis, and what kind of jobs are available within the artificial intelligence space? So for someone looking for a career path in AI, where should they be looking at?
The good news is it's obviously a high growth industry, and there are lots of new roles emerging. So 10 years ago, if you wanted to be an AI, you had to be a data scientist. You had to go and do a degree and be very good at mathematics and invest in that. Now what we're seeing as the industry matures is there's roles around the data science role to make AI work in the real world. So we have data engineers, we have AI product managers who are bridging the gap between the business problem and the technical AI. So there are lots of different roles in data analytics and AI now that people can get involved in that they may not be aware of.
Okay. Well, if you can also talk to us about that in the last couple of minutes that we have, I do want to talk about the future of Seek. And if you can talk to us about Malaysia first, what can your people that use the platform, what can they expect from Seek?
I think they can expect continued innovation and change. Some of it will be behind the scenes, where it will just feel like things are getting more relevant, more personalised to them, and some will be new features. Ultimately, our vision is to be the most efficient, fair and effective online employment marketplace. And so I think if you think about a world where you could have a 20-minute conversation with someone who deeply cares about your background, your interests, what you're looking for in a career and at work, and then goes and scans the entire market, understands what it's like to work at every company, and then comes back with a list of great jobs for you, that's what we're shooting for. That's a really hard problem to solve, and so you'll see increments towards that vision.
Okay. I have a couple of minutes left still, so I just wanted to ask your thoughts about AI a bit further, seeing that you're an expert here. What do you think are some of the biggest misconceptions that people have about artificial intelligence, especially in the workforce?
I think you get two camps. Some people who think it can solve everything and it's going to change the world tomorrow. Yeah. And I think what we've learned over 10 years of investing in AI is doing AI well to actually make a difference is hard, and you have to reorganize your processes.
You say you've been investing in the AI for 10 years now.
Yes, so Seek's been investing in AI for 10 years. I've been part of that journey for the last 7 years. And so I think what we've learned is it's much harder than people think. It requires a lot of change. And so I think some people who think it's going to change everything tomorrow, maybe be a bit disappointed over the next 6 to 12 months, but we'll probably see that benefit flowing slightly later. Other people who are really fearful of AI and think it's going to take all their jobs and change everything, I think history tells us that that's not the case, and humans are able to adapt. So sounds a bit like sitting on the fence, but I think there are definitely risks to be managed, big opportunities, but they'll require investment and a lot of change management.
Okay, so in your opinion then, and looking forward, what kind of changes do you think AI will bring in the job market?
So I think it's going to make things easier. It's going to guide people to extract more information and go much more granular on what they're looking for. So the days of I'm looking for an accountant role in KL versus I've got these granular skills, what could I do, where could I go? I think that's just going to get a lot better and open up a lot more opportunities for people. In AI more broadly, I think we're going to see some interface changes. So generative AI means that we can use much more natural language. So rather than having to adapt the way I would talk to you about what I'm looking for in my job for a search engine, I can just talk like I normally would, and we'll let the AI do the heavy lifting. So I think it's going to feel very different over the next couple of years. The other interesting trend in AI is AI agents. So these are sort of AI bots that can understand a broad goal and then go and break that down into tasks and execute for you. And so depending on how fast that plays out, I think it opens up really interesting questions around, am I talking to a human being or an AI? Is my AI bot representing me accurately? Should I be designing my product for humans or AI? It's going to be a really fascinating period of time.
As someone who has been looking at this for a decade or so now, what keeps you excited then about your industry, what in AI specifically?
Just the enormous opportunity to help people find jobs and great talent. Like, Seek has that at the core of its purpose, and I think it's really noble purposes, and it's a really hard problem to solve. So some of these tools now unlock things that weren't previously possible. So the idea that we can help people really articulate what they're looking for and find that needle in the haystack much faster and much more easily and create that opportunity, that's what motivates me, is the real world outcomes that AI can now deliver.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Grant, for taking some time to speak to me about your job and also the impact of AI in the future workforce. Thank you so much.
Thank
Good to
you.
have you.
Absolute pleasure.